Henry. It seems to be set in stone that he'll remain my favourite character in the Thomas and Friends universe until the end of time. The journey he has been on has so many similarities with my own, and because of his many character shifts, I think we can all see a bit of ourselves in that number 3 green engine. How do we get here though? What was the key moment in Henry's life that made him my favourite? And who had that role originally? My 24th birthday is right around the corner, and if you're good at maths, you'll know that makes me a 1999 baby. Now what was going on in the Thomas universe before and after that year? Well, the show's 5th series had just been completed and was a runaway success. Thomas and the Magic Railroad was released in summer 2000 and was not. Series 5 and Tatma were put on replay a lot in my early years, along with A Best of Percy and Thomas and the Trucks VHS. All of these were a great watch, and they'll stick with me forever. But to be honest, there wasn't a ton of Henry content in there, at least not much where his character was at its absolute best. I saw plenty of Percy's character at its best, however. That's right folks, for a short while, Percy was my favourite character in the show. That cheeky, naive, short-tempered nature made him easy to like. All I saw of Henry was the standoffish, self-centered version of him. I don't mind it. I prefer Henry having a backbone and saying what he feels, but I don't want a green version of Gordon. There has to be more to him than that if he's to be a favourite of mine. And then one day, I stumbled upon the Trust Thomas VHS, put it on, and was soon greeted with the title card, Henry's Forest. A story I knew nothing about up to that point, so I sat and watched with intrigue. 4.5 minutes later, I had probably the biggest smile I'd ever had at the end of a Henry episode, as it's the most heartwarming in my eyes. After years of throwing insults and rather selfish behaviour, Henry reaches a breaking point when his favourite place in the world is damaged. But I know what you're thinking. Doesn't Henry reach a breaking point in Series 1? Yes, but on that occasion we see Henry's physical vulnerability. This is more a look at Henry's mental vulnerability. We see what it's like for him when he experiences personal loss or personal change. But of course, that goes against what Audrey had in mind for the character. Yes, this story breaks rules, but asking the question, what locomotive has an interest in scenery, is like asking what human has an interest in automobiles, for example. It's like Audrey momentarily forgot that these locomotives were written to express human emotions. Every one of us has passions and interests unique to ourselves, and when they are changed or taken away, it can be a little tough to deal with. That's what Henry's Forest is all about. Henry is a sympathetic character, always has been, but for once they use something other than his physical weakness to make us sympathise with him. After that first viewing, I could finally relate to Henry, and I cannot be the only one who felt that way. How fitting that Series 3, the first properly original series in the show, was the one that gave Engine Number 3 the most loved version of their character. But what about the Flying Kipper, I hear you ask? Didn't I just name that the best episode in the show in my Top 100 video? Yes, and I stand by that. A visual masterpiece, best episode in the show. Not the most relatable for me though, not quite. Both are happy moments in Henry's life, but for different reasons. This is his biggest success, and this is him at his lowest mentally. I've had my fair share of successes in my life, but getting through mental low points will always be bigger than all of that. Henry's in his happy place in the forest. He finds purpose there. Love for even the smallest of things, and companionship are the things that give every one of us purpose, not necessarily the successes. That is why Henry's Forest, to me, is the actual best Henry episode. As for my mate Percy, what came after Series 5 and Tatma? That's right children, Series 6! Not the worst season in the show, a good one for Percy, but it was the start of that period where he was aging in reverse. I'm so glad I can finally bring this up, but you know that scene in Bullet Train where Lemon's got his Thomas stickers and he describes some of the characters? Yeah, I was absolutely a Percy in my early years. Young, sweet, not all there. That's basically what the character is mostly perceived as now. The reason Percy is no longer my favourite is I grew up and he didn't. Here I am, almost 24, happy to be a Henry. Hard-working and strong. And thanks to the episode Henry's Forest, I know it's not just physical strength that makes Henry the legendary character he is.